All right. So the chapter 1 we study is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga, where we studied about Arjuna's grief. In chapter 2, it is called a Samkhya Yoga, where we learned about the main knowledge that we are not the body, right? We are the soul. We are not even our mind, our intelligence, our false ego. All that are different, things which we take with us. A subtle body we take with us in our next body, but we are actually not the body. The body is only, we are just living in the body, like a house is rented and we stay in the house. That way our body, we just temporarily in this body. So when you really understand that you are not your body, that is when you get the true knowledge. Then there is chapter 3. It's not easy, just we are saying with our mouth. It's not actually, we are not really understanding it. It takes a lot of thinking and meditating on this knowledge to really feel it. Then in chapter 3, we understood Karma Yoga. Chapter 4, we are doing Jnana Yoga, which is transcendental knowledge. It's also called renunciation of action. Okay, that is here it means, how you're using sacrifices. We will learn now by the end of the chapter how sacrifice plays a big role. And it's also called the Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Basically, it's all transcendental knowledge. Okay, so if you don't understand big words, don't worry, keep listening. Somewhere or the other, it will help you to understand as we study more and more Gita. Okay. So let's revise this verse. I want you all to revise by repeating after me. Vitaraga bhaya krodha.
Vitaraga bhaya krodha.
Manmaya mamupashritaha.
Manmaya mamupashritaha.
Bahavo jnana tapasa.
Bahavo jnana tapasa.
Uta madbhavamagataha. I forgot to share it, the verse, singing it in the group. This week I'll do that. So try to practice it because it's a nice shloka which reminds us that if we remember Gita, we will be free from rag, attachment, bhay, fear, krodh, anger. Okay? What will you be? You'll be fully dependent on Krishna. Why? Because you are having true renunciation. Yes, Nisha is giving me a thumbs up. She understands. Then we have Bahavo Jnana Tapasa. By penance, many people have got this knowledge. Many. Bahavo is many. Puta Mad Bhava Magata. When they have transcendental love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then they become purified. Okay? And then we have learned about how Krishna removes the misconception about caste system, right? Last class we're just doing a quick revision. Caste system is according to birth. Is your caste based on your birth? Like nowadays they will ask you what is your caste, and you will say your caste according to your fathers or your grandfathers, previous generation's caste. But actually, does Krishna mean that the caste system is based on birth? Does he mean that? No. There is a big misconception, and society is nicely using it. Just because you're a doctor's son, you don't become a doctor. I told you about that, right? It's based on your own two things. What are the two things? The material mode, which is predominant in you, the mode, right? The gunas. The modes are the gunas. This we will do a lot in detail. If you don't understand now, don't worry. Two things decide your caste. One is your guna. That is whether you have more tamogun, you have more rajogun, or you have more sattvagun, which is also based from all your previous inclinations and desires. And it's also based upon your karma. That means from your previous birth, what all you got. Now, karma is used in a different sense also, which I had taught you last class. Also, all the spiritual paths lead to the same destination? No, it doesn't actually. Everything leads to Krishna, but based on the kind of inclination we have, we will get that particular result. So we had seen this. We had seen this, right, earlier also, that if someone focuses on Brahman or sees God as a light or an energy, then his consciousness is, basically he has understood eternality of his soul. So he has got Sat, he has got truth. He understood that that he is not the body, he is a soul. This basic eternality of his soul, he has understood this truth. So he receives Sat, or he has the blessing of getting Sat because he is Brahman conscious. Now, if somebody is Paramatma conscious, that means he knows that God is in every person. He sees the Paramatma within every person, in all living things, and everybody, everywhere. He is able to see Paramatma. Such a person also has Chit. He already has Sat. He has the, understanding that he's eternal, the truth he knows, and he also has Chit. That means he is also conscious and aware that God is there in everyone at all times. Third is Bhagavan. Okay, that means Bhagavan conscious or Krishna conscious has all three: Sat, Chit, and Anand. He becomes a receiver of the knowing of the truth of him being eternal. He has knowledge that God is in everyone. He's able to see God everywhere and in everyone. And he also has supreme happiness because he enjoys knowing Krishna as a person. Just because you see Krishna as an energy, you can't communicate with that God who is just an energy. But when you see God, supreme personality, as a person, as a supreme personality, you see him, you can have a relation with him. You can have a relationship with him. You can talk to him. You can request him. You can even complain or get angry with him. So all these emotions of anger, complaining, and all, which we say are not good, but if you direct it, like I told you, towards Krishna, everything gets purified, and you will be able to experience bliss. So these are the three stages of consciousness. Brahman is when you're Brahman conscious, you see God as a light, as an energy. Paramatma, you see God is in everything and is everywhere. Bhagavan is when you see God as a person whom you can relate to, right? So these are the three states. So such people, they are able to be in the here, they are able to be in the now. They know that this moment is all we have. They'll focus on their breath. They will control their senses. Chit, they are aware that God is everywhere. They will be able to love everyone. They will have harmony. And Anand is when they have total bliss because they are experiencing a relationship with Krishna, which is of pure love. Okay, when all these three are there, you become immersed in joy as well. So different flight goes to different destinations. So you have to decide which is the ticket you want to go. What is your destination? You have to choose. Then I spoke last class about who is a Vikarmi, who is a Karmi, and who is an Akarmi. Anyone remembers and anyone would like to share?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes, Ritika, I think you said yes. Ritika, can you explain?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, Karmi is the person who does all the good things, good actions.
Correct.
A Karmi is the person who does all the bad actions.
Vikarmi is the one.
Yeah, Vikarmi. And Akarmi is the one who first who does the Krishna actions, like he devotes all his actions first to Krishna.
Perfect.
Whether is it good or bad, then only he does that. Like Krishna karma, it can be called as.
Yes, very good. A karmi is something which doesn't bear any result because it won't give you a good fruit or a bad fruit. If you want good fruits, means suppose like I had given an example, if somebody is doing lot of good deeds, he has to be born. He'll be born in a pious family, or he'll be born in a rich and well established, very knowledgeable family, or he will be born in higher planets where there is more joy available, and then when his deeds, the amount of deeds he has done, that much of fruit he has got, he will again come back. Vikarmis, those who do bad deeds, they have to be again born to suffer all the consequences of the bad things that they did. But akarmi has no need to come. They become free from this whole cycle of birth and death. And if you, all of you are small children, but if you're able to just meditate and think about these things more deeply, you will be able to understand that this body is actually like a prison. We are facing all these ups and downs, happiness, sadness, and so many, success, defeat, all these things. But there is a state when our eternal soul is free from all this. And this is possible when we start becoming an akarmi, which requires a lot of practice and lot of, we need to have a focused aim in our mind. So let's understand a little more. Vikarmis are those who don't follow Vedas. They have the risk of being degraded to lower species in their future lives because they have such tendencies which will make them be born in lower species. They are not appreciated by saintly people and they defeat the very purpose of human life because they don't have any understanding that the purpose of human life is to become God conscious and be free from the cycle of birth and death. So even gods who are in heaven, who are enjoying the result of all the good things that they did, they long to be born as a human being because only in human birth you can achieve God consciousness and become free from your results of karmas. Karmis are ones who are very pious. They may attain swarga. They may even become demigods. They may eventually they may return to the but they have to eventually come back to the Martya Loka. Martya Loka means again back to the human birth where death is definitely everything is temporary. Martya means ending. Everything in this world is temporary. Akarmis are those who have to come to the platform of devotional service of Krishna. And they know that any activity which is fruitive, both Vikarm and just Karm, they will bind you and they will bring rebirth. He wants to be free. You can see that picture. He is free. He can roam anywhere in the whole universe because he is free from the cycle of birth and death. He has become an Akarmi, right? So again, there's another slide here. We can see that karma and vikarma, you can see the last stages, they will either enjoy and have rebirth or suffer and have rebirth. But akarma, there is only joy because they are in bliss. Like I told you, Sat, Chit and Anand, these people will have. And they will enjoy spiritual world once they don't have to take a rebirth. So how can we do akarma? Can someone read this? Arya, can you read this?
Yes, ma'am. So, how can we do a karma? Perform the duties nicely yet cautiously so as not to get stuck in this material world.
Right. So how will you get stuck in this material world? If you have attachment, if you have
Attachment to
desire.
the materials and have that fake thought, that thought of that you own everything.
Exactly. Very good. The false imagination that these things actually belong to me, whereas even your body, nothing belongs to you. It all belongs to Krishna. We are just imagining that this is mine, that is mine, and we have the sense of possession. Whereas a person who is really knowledgeable knows that nothing really belongs to him. So how do we know our right duty? Today I'm going to do quickly. I want to also the story of Krishna, but let's understand right duty by looking at story of King Dante Deva. And let's look at Stephen Covey. He has written the very famous book. Anybody has heard of this book? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Anyone has heard about this book or any of you?
No.
So you must try to read this book. Stephen Covey has clearly said that all these 7 habits he has taken from the Gita. He's a very strong follower of Gita and he has understood it so well and he has created this book. And the book is, it is a what do you call it? It's a widely sold book. There's a word for it. I can't remember that.
Bestseller.
Bestseller, yeah. So it's a bestseller book, and so I think you all can, be trying to read it. Let's quickly look at these 3 links which I'll be sharing in the PDF. You can also look at it yourself. But let's look at the first one, that story of King Dante Deva. So let me share the screen with the story for you. And here we will just see it's a story which may not be very motivating because it shows how much King Dante Deva actually sees Krishna in everyone, and what extent he can go to because of that, because of his emotion of being able to see Krishna in everyone. It's a very tough story. Let's see it. Okay, you can all see my screen. I'll quickly read today. So this story tells us about a very kind king. There was once a king who was very kind. Okay, and he had procured, how he procured moksha, or freedom from the cycle of birth and death. He was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, and he saw Lord in everyone and everywhere. So he worshipped Lord Vishnu by helping and caring all the people in his kingdom with great love. He was ready to provide whatever was needed by his people, and he never showed any difference in his generosity between poor or rich. Okay, so Rantideva used to distribute all the wealth that he had to the poor and the needy. He was never greedy, but he showed pleasure to serve the people. Now, this way, many days went, they were all very prosperous, but suddenly there was a disaster. Now, there's a reason for the disaster. We will see this in a small video later. Unseasoned rains and winds. Okay, it destroyed all his crops, all the crops in his kingdom. It caused death of animals. There was scarcity of food. The people in his kingdom, they ran to seek help from the king. Without even a second thought, he would distribute his wealth and treasure, and he would pray to Lord Vishnu to bless him and give him the strength to protect all those people. The people were happy with the king's kindness, but the famine became more and more horrible as the days went by. People were starving, there was no food, there was no water. It was a horrible disaster. And the king himself was not having food. Whenever he and his family had little food, they would distribute it because they know that more people are hungry. As the time passed, the drought became more severe. The king had nothing left, and he felt miserable. Now, Rantideva had starved. He had not eaten for many days, but he was able to survive because he was constantly meditating and praying to Vishnu. His body had become very weak. He could hardly move. One day, when the family, unexpectedly, the king and his family got, they got some food. And as they were going to have the food, there's also another story which said that he had fasted for 40 days, and now he was just going to have some food which he got luckily. At that time, suddenly a poor, hungry Brahmin came. And the king received him. He offered some food. He and his family are hungry, and only that food is there for them to eat. But he offered some of that food to the poor, hungry person, Brahmin, who had come. He received him respectfully and offered. The Brahmin ate happily and was pleased. And as soon as he left, they were about to eat the remaining food. Again, a hungry beggar came. And Rantideva is so generous. He saw himself, God in him and in others. So he thought, let me give my food to him. And he offered that food also to the beggar. The beggar left satisfied. And then a man came with his dogs to seek food and water for him. So there's very little left. The king offered all the remaining food also, and even the water. He was now left only with water to drink. At that time, there's only water, and he's already hungry and thirsty. The king was about to drink that water when suddenly a Chandala came. Now, Chandala in those days were untouchable. They would work in the cemetery where the dead bodies are being burned. So, when the Chandala came, the Chandala said, my throat is pinched with thirst, and he requested for water. The king was ready to give the water also, and he prayed to the Lord to give him strength to feel the pain for others. So, as the man drank water, his eyes sparkled brightly, was full of energy, which made the king feel very fulfilled and refreshed. So suddenly, that's when Vishnu and all his attendants, they appeared before him, and they told him that all his sufferings would end now, and that he's going to get all his riches back. That Rantideva, was told that Rantideva told them that he had no desire for worldly pleasure. He only wanted to be absorbed in Vishnu all the time. So that's how he got blessed. So in this, if you look at this video, I'll also share a video. You'll see how actually the lords wanted to test, they wanted to test Rantidev, and when Vishnu had said that Rantidev is my favorite devotee, so they wanted to know why. Okay, so let's look at this small video again, which the video will be more effective to when you're seeing. Let's just look at this video. Can you see? I hope you can
Yes,
also
ma'am.
hear the sound.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh Lord.
Can you hear the sound?
Yes.
Can you hear the sound
Yes,
also?
ma'am.
Okay, just see a short
Yes.
3-minute video.
Lord Indra and others, please come and be comfortable. We cannot decide on who is your strongest devotee and are arguing endlessly among ourselves. Rantidev, is he not the same king who renounced his kingdom and his titles? Yes, Lord Indra, he is the same king, and at this moment he is on a fast for 48 days. His fast is about to end. Lord, with your grace and permission, can we put your devotee through a test? Please go ahead. You will see for yourselves why I consider him my strongest devotee. Hey, Lord of the threefold world system, Lord Vishnu, may I always remain in your grace. Bless me as I break my fast with this morsel. Maharaj, Maharaj, come Brahman Dev, what can I do for you? Maharaj, I have not eaten for many days. If I could get something to eat, of course. Here you can take half of my meal. May God bless you. Maharaj, I am hungry, not eaten for many days. Can I get something to eat? Here, take this food, my good man. It's all yours. Swami, can I and my dogs also get something to eat? We haven't eaten for many days. Of course, but this is all I have. I hope it will be enough for you and your dogs. I'm very happy and contented. Lord, with your blessings, I was able to serve these people and satisfy their hunger. Now I will happily end my fast with some water. Can somebody give this thirsty man some water? Maharaj, I am very thirsty. Can I get some water? Of course. Take this water and drink. This pot? But I can't take your pot, Maharaj. Is this water pot not good enough for you? No, sir. This is not the reason. The reason is that I am an untouchable and not good enough to drink from your water pot. If I touch your water pot, it will get defiled. No, my good man. This pot will not get defiled because Lord Vishnu, who resides in me, resides in you also. Then how can you call yourself an untouchable? You certainly deserve salvation and moksha. I do not desire moksha, my good man. My austerities are to remove the sufferings of everyone. You are great, a true devotee of God. Maharaj, how did my devotee fare in your test? Excellently. Now you have all understand why Rantidev is your strongest devotee. It was envy that drove us to test your devotee. Oh Lord, I am so happy to see you. You are my guide, the master of my soul. I am so happy to see you. I am very happy with you, Rantidev. You are able to see me in all creation. Lord, you are omnipresent. You are present in each atom. You truly deserve salvation. Come, my friend, I'll take you to Vaikuntha.
All right. So, what did you think about the story? Do you think that he was doing his duty, or what were the thoughts which came to your mind when you heard the story? Niranjana?
Ma'am, I thought he's a great devotee of Vishnu. He will do anything for people.
Yeah. Yeah. And would you, so, suppose there's somebody who's very selfish and greedy and is rich and doesn't give anything to anyone and is, having all the luxuries. Or there is somebody like Rantidev who is a great king and who is willing to give and he suffers a lot. Would you admire a person like Rantidev or somebody who is wicked and, shrewd and always wealthy and he thinks he has everything because he has all the riches? Which person would you
Some
admire?
person like Rantidev.
You would admire.
I will choose Rantidev. It's a really luck to have a person like this.
The world is lucky to have a person like Rantidev, right? And that is how we take our, role models as those great people. For example, if you see Mahabharata itself, Kaurava and Pandavas. Kauravas are always living in the palace, whereas Pandavas, they went to the forest, they, went through so much of suffering. But still, whom would you want to be, or whom would you follow?
Pandavas.
You will
And
follow
Pandavas.
Pandavas. Although they had to go through so much of difficulty, you will still follow that is the beauty of those who are doing what is their rightful duty. Now, the meeting is going to end in 9 minutes. Let me see if I can just explain to you the habits of Stephen Covey, which are based on Gita. And if you can read that, that would be very good. So, this is the continuum which he created, in which he explains the 7 habits. Okay, I'll quickly explain, but before that, just look at this video. Wait, I haven't shared it. No, you won't be able to see it. So let me share it. This is a small video which talks about how all the 7 habits were actually, which Stephen Covey created, was taken from the Gita. Can you see this video? And I hope you can hear it also.
Yes, ma'am.
जो कि देश में कंज्यूम नहीं हो पा रहे।
This is
तो अगर
Hindi.
एक्चुअली मैनेजमेंट की पढ़ाई करनी
I'll
है तो
explain
भगवत
it
गीता
in
पढ़नी
Hindi,
चाहिए।
English.
भगवत गीता में डॉक्टर स्टीफन कॉवी पब्लिकली बोल के गए, उनकी 2 मिलियन किताबें इंडिया में बिकी, 7 हैबिट्स ऑफ हाईली इफेक्टिव पीपल, ये एक मोटिवेशनल किताब है। लेकिन वो सब जगह बोल के गए, आईएसपी हैदराबाद में आए थे, बोले कि मैंने 700 के 700 हैबिट भगवत गीता से ली है, पर मैं सफल इसलिए हूँ क्योंकि हिंदुस्तान के लोग गीता नहीं पढ़ते, मेरी किताब पढ़ते हैं। अपना रेट पे एमबीए।
Okay, so it's Hindi. So those of you who don't know Hindi, I'll just tell you what he just said. This is a very famous person who speaks about Gita, and he's telling us how this famous book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, written by Stephen Covey, is taken from Gita. He himself, he comes and he tells people, but people, even in India, they don't want to read the Gita. Instead, they would readily read the book of 7, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That is the, funny thing. Like, even though you know that the Gita has so much to teach you and it will help you to be successful, people would like to read the 7 Habits book, which is taken from the Gita. Right? So now let me share once more. I hope, and before this meeting, please join again. Before this ends, I can explain the 7 habits to you. It's very, very good if you can read the book or at least note down points from this, right? So these are the 7 habits you must all try to develop. They are taken from the Gita only. First is be proactive. The first habit is be proactive. So you can practice with action. Be proactive. The first habit is be proactive. Okay. Can you all do that action? Be proactive. I'll tell you.
Yes.
Yeah. Be proactive. It means that instead of complaining, grumbling about your situation, do something to make a difference. Okay. So there will always be some things you cannot change. There will always be some things which you can change. Okay. So try to increase the things you can change, try to make your problems, look for solutions rather than problems, and then you will increase your effectiveness because you are being proactive in doing what is needed rather than sitting and grumbling and, blaming the system, blaming the school, blaming your house, blaming the environment, blaming the weather, all that. Instead, you will be proactive and you will take steps to do what is needed to be done. That is the first habit. And all these first 3 habits are for a private victory. They will make you victorious and you will move from dependence to independence. Second habit is you must begin with the end in mind. So you will begin with the end in mind, right? So now you are here, you must think of where you want to be. What is it that, according to the talents that God has given you, what is it that you can do? Think of the end, and then you will be able to have a direction. So the second habit is begin with the end in mind. The third habit is, this is the action for it, put first things first, right? That means you must always prioritize. What is it that I should do first? If you have a list of things, what is most important? Because sometimes, what we do, we just think that this is important and we keep on doing that, whereas what is more important, actually, we're not doing that. Then it becomes into an emergency situation and only then we'll do that. So putting first things first is also a habit which you will help you to develop. Now the habit 4, 5 and 6 are to help you to get public victory. That means you will create an interdependence in society which will, or in your group of classmates or wherever you are, so that you are in harmony. Okay, that is, you are all working towards a common goal. How will you do that? The first habit in that, which is habit 4, is think win-win. Think win-win. This is the action. It means that you are always understanding that it's not necessary that I should win only when others will lose. In fact, that's a wrong notion. We can all win. Sometimes in your defeat, there is some victory also, and in a victory also, there is a defeat. So never think that I can win only if the others will lose. That is a wrong mentality. Always think win-win. Now, there's a lot of videos on all this. You can see that. You can also read the book. Habit 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. That means don't always try to tell others what that they should understand you. Instead, first listen to the others. Have the habit of empathetic listening. Listen to the others. What is their viewpoint? What is their perspective? And then only you should seek to be understood. And the sixth habit is synergize. That action for this is like this: synergize. How do you synergize? Synergize is the idea that when two people will start working together, it's not just 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, it becomes 1 plus 1 is equal to infinity, because suddenly when they work together, things will multiply to a great degree. The success you will get will not be what you get alone. So you must understand the beauty of synergize. That is the sixth habit. Finally, seventh habit is sharpen the saw. This is the action. It means you must always try to be better at whatever you're doing. Suppose you're studying, you'll be better at developing the basic skills. So try to sharpen the saw. In all these habits, it will help you if you practice it and you sharpen your saw. You wait, pause, even just meditating or studying the Gita is all helping you to sharpen your saw and make you more effective. So did you all like these 7 habits? Let's try and see whether you can all say it once with action. Ritika has liked it. She's got a thumbs up. So the first habit is be proactive, right? That means you must do whatever is to be done. Now, what is the second habit? Begin with the end in mind. All right. I want you all to say this once after me. So in this meeting, we'll finish this. Next meeting, we'll continue chapter 4. Can you all say the first, all of you please say it with me. Be proactive. Say the first habit.
Be proactive.
Right. And the action is to do.
Be proactive.
Very good. And the action is like this. You don't sit and complain and grumble. You will do what is to be done. Be proactive. Okay?
Be proactive.
Yes. The second action is begin with the end.
Begin with the end
In mind.
in mind.
Think of what you want. What is your end? And to begin with the end, begin with the end in mind. Say that.
Begin with the end in mind.
The mind.
Right. So you must picturize what is it that you're supposed to do, and then you must do it. The third habit is put first things first. Okay? Do that action.
Put first things first.
First things first.
Good. Then the fourth habit is think win-win. Think.
Win.
My feet action is like this. I can't see the others' videos. I can see only my feet. Think win-win.
Think win-win.
Yeah. Don't think that I must win and everybody must lose. Okay, you are all going to win if you think that way, that in victory there will be some defeat, in defeat there will be some victory. Now next, the fifth habit is seek first to understand, then to be understood. So you're going to seek. What are you going to seek? First you will seek to understand.